Okay, let's just get right into it. The whole conversation around AI is, well, it's a mess, right? You've got the hype merchants on one side promising us these digital gods, and then on the other, you've got the doomsayers warning about the end of the world. And the results, most of us are just stuck in the middle, totally confused, trying to see through this thick fog of information. But what if we've been thinking about it all wrong? I love this quote from writer Django Beatty, who says, AI showed up like some mysterious alien egg in a sci-fi movie. Everyone's standing around it, arguing about what's going to hatch, but almost no one's actually looking at what's inside. So that's exactly what we're going to do right now. We're going to cut through all that noise and take a good hard look at what we've really built. So, to get to the truth, we first have to clear out all the junk. We need to talk about the bad stories, these big myths of hype and panic that are just completely warping how we see this technology. Right now, we're basically trapped between two giant fantasies. The hype promises us artificial general intelligence, AGI, conscious thinking machines straight out of a movie. The panic, on the other hand, predicts this massive job apocalypse that'll make millions of us obsolete. But the reality? It's way less dramatic and honestly a lot more useful. It's really about powerful pattern matching, the quiet build-out of a whole new kind of infrastructure, and ultimately the augmentation of our own human skills. So why is there such a huge gap between the hype and the reality? Well, this number is a pretty big clue. The AI industry is investing $16 for every single dollar it makes in revenue. I mean, think about that. A ratio like that only makes sense if you think you're in some kind of winner-take-all arms race. The whole industry is running on this shared delusion that someone somewhere is about to achieve this permanent, unbeatable computational power. But this whole race for AGI, Beatty calls it alchemy-level nonsense. And it's a perfect comparison, isn't it? You have some of the most brilliant people in the world with basically unlimited money, all chasing this impossible dream. They're trying to turn the lead of computation into the pure gold of consciousness. And this is where that comparison gets really, really interesting. Because the alchemists, they never made gold. Of course not. But in the process of failing, they accidentally laid the groundwork for modern chemistry. And in the very same way, this quest for AGI isn't going to create a digital mind, but it has accidentally produced something revolutionary, boring, powerful, and absolutely transformative infrastructure. Okay, so if this new infrastructure isn't magic, how does it actually work? Let's pop the hood for a second. We're going to explore why using these tools can feel so maddening, like you're always so close to the right answer, but you can never, ever seem to get there on the first try. Come on, you know the feeling. We've all been there. It's 3 a.m, you're just staring at that chat window, telling yourself, okay, just one more try. And every time you tweak the prompt, it gets a little bit closer, but you have no clue if that perfect answer is 1 click away or 20. Well, it turns out that frustration isn't a bug. It's actually a fundamental feature of how these things work. So here's the big secret. These systems cannot plan at all. They have no idea where they're going. When an AI writes a sentence, it's literally just picking the next most likely word based on all the data it was trained on. It's like a traveling salesman who doesn't have a map and can only see to the next intersection before having to guess which way to turn. And this core limitation leads to something that's been called Beatty's law. You just never know if you're 1 iteration away from brilliance or 20 iterations away from giving up. Sometimes your prompt happens to land the AI pretty close to a great answer, and other times it starts out in the middle of nowhere. This explains why that first output is always so generic, so much slop. And it's why using AI feels like playing a slot machine. You just have to keep pulling the lever and hoping for the best. So this endless back and forth, it's the only way the system can possibly work. It takes a blind step forward, and then you have to give it a course correction. You are the map. You are the navigator. The AI is just walking, and it needs you, the human, to steer it at every single turn. Realizing this changes absolutely everything. The second we stop seeing AI as some kind of artificial brain and start seeing it as a blind walker, we can finally understand what we've actually built. And it's not a replacement for us. It's a whole new kind of tool. We haven't built an artificial mind. What we've built is a cognitive exoskeleton. It doesn't replace you, it augments you. It amplifies your strength, your creativity, your ability to churn through information. But it is completely and utterly useless without your constant guidance. You are the pilot of a machine that can walk but cannot see. And this way of thinking, it reframes the entire future of work. We're not being automated away, we're being promoted. Our jobs are shifting from doing the minute-to-minute work to directing these unbelievably powerful but fundamentally blind tools. Our value now comes from having a destination in our minds that only we can see. So if we're all becoming pilots and navigators and directors, what does that actually mean for the job market? I mean, for years, we've been warned about an employment apocalypse. But the real story, when you look at the data, is the exact opposite of what you'd expect. This has been the question for the past 2 years, hasn't it? The dominant headline has been this AI job apocalypse. But what does the actual data say? Is AI really a job killer or something else going on entirely? So check this out. The data just completely flips that whole apocalypse story on its head. A recent study found that the jobs with the highest exposure to AI are actually seeing the fastest growth. Not slower growth, faster. The very roles we all thought were the most at risk, those are the ones that are multiplying. Now, that might sound totally bizarre, but we've actually seen this pattern before. Economists call it the productivity paradox. You know, it took over 40 years for electricity to even show up in the productivity stats, and it took centuries for the printing press. And why is that? It's because these huge, game-changing technologies don't just speed up old jobs, they enable entirely new kinds of work to exist. And here's the real kicker. True gains don't come from just plugging a new tool into an old way of doing things. Think about it. The real transformation only happens when we completely redesign how we work around the new capability. It's just like how early factories had to be rebuilt from the ground up to really take advantage of electricity. And this brings us to the fundamental bargain of this new era we're in. We are now partnered with these systems that have almost infinite capability, but absolutely zero foresight. The machine can generate endless options but has no idea where it's going. And us, the human pilots, well, we can't resist trying just one more iteration, one more shot to get it perfect. So, if AI isn't a new form of intelligence, what is it? I think it's a new kind of literacy that we all have to learn. For centuries, value came from the ability to generate ideas. But in a world where a machine can spit out 100 ideas in a second, maybe the most valuable skill becomes recognition. The expertise to know which one of those 100 ideas is actually brilliant. We're shifting from creators to curators. And maybe the most important question for our future is no longer, can you make something new, but can you recognize what truly matters?